Hey guys, I'm a friend of Godfrey's and my name is Daniel, and today we'll be reviewing a very awesome game. So, sullenness, something all of us PNG people have experienced before. It's something, you know, you get that violent feeling of like this really violent obsession that you get out of nowhere and you just can't help it. Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I've been hit with the sullenness bug from Spider-Man PS4. So, Spider-Man PS4 is an exclusive for the console and it was released last month. It's definitely one of the biggest games of the year, possibly the biggest PS4 release of the entirety of 2018. And yeah, exclusive, so sorry Xbox users. But yes, Spider-Man PS4, it's amazing and it's probably the biggest Spider-Man game since Spider-Man 2, which was released all the way back in who knows when on the PS2.
Yeah, so Dan roped me in to play Spider-Man as well, and I actually really like the game. And this is coming from someone who's never actually played the previous Spider-Man on PS2, which came out in 2004, if that's what Dan said. So, well, thank you, Dan. Yeah, so I actually really did enjoy the game. So here are my thoughts on Marvel's Spider-Man.
So this game is nothing like any of the movies we've seen, because this game jumps right into when Peter is already like 25 years old, meaning that he's been Spider-Man for 8 years. So he's already like a fully grown adult, already out of university, and yeah, he's been Spider-Man for a while, so he's very much experienced. He's not the rookie hero we've seen in many of the movies that have come out lately. So it's all about Peter just trying to get his life back together again, because, you know, things have happened, he's grown up, things aren't exactly how we'd expect it to be, and also he's dealing with the consequences of his actions. There's something you do in the game that happens early on that Spidey will be feeling the repercussions of throughout the entirety of the rest of the game. Definitely the best thing about the game is the traversal system. The web swinging is the best I've ever played. And this is from someone who's played the PS2 version of Spider-Man 2 when he was a little kid, so oh my gosh. When you swing, it feels so real and so satisfying. They've definitely done a fantastic job with making being Spider-Man and moving around New York City very enjoyable. And New York City itself, it feels so real. Like, compare Liberty City to GTA 4, it definitely feels more alive than that. The number of pedestrians on the road, the number of cars on the road, there's actual traffic jams. And also, whenever there's a fight or some kind of conflict, when Spidey comes down and beats up thugs, there's always like this line of pedestrians just watching the fight and looking onwards, and you can hear them shout things towards Spidey. Sometimes it's good things, sometimes it's bad things. There's people that come up to me and told me I'm a menace in the game. Some people have come up to me and took a selfie and had like high-fived me.
Hey, Jameson sucks!
So yeah, definitely it feels like a real New York, and it feels so good to swing around at this New York.
Yes, definitely the traversal system is one of the best things about this game. Before I started playing it, I actually saw a lot of I saw a lot of noise online about how good it was to swing web and, you know, and I thought that was really fun. It actually was. Picking up the controller and trying that for the first time, admittedly, I was total shit.
Get the crap out of me.
But jumping into it, it felt really natural. There's, I would admit, a slight learning curve, but if there's anything I've noticed from watching my friend Dan play is that when you do pick up how to swing, it looks amazing and it feels amazing, and I cannot wait to get to that point where I, you know, can just instead of.
So obviously the fighting system feels very Arkham Asylum, very much like those Batman games, but it's different. In much like, with Batman he'd fight and then counter and look all badass, but with Spidey he counters but he's more dodging and jumping and moving around the enemy. So he's fighting like Spider-Man, he's fighting like how you'd expect him to fight, using his webs, using the environment, which is very handy, and the different enemy types also lend themselves to very interesting combinations, because you'll have to learn the different ways to fight these different enemies.
Something else that I really enjoyed about the game is the fact that, you know, despite it called Spider-Man, it's a story about Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It stresses the fact that it's difficult, you know, juggling, you know, saving New York and, you know, saving yourself, you know, being an adult, growing up, dealing with, you know, stuff like rent, relationships and your friends. All this reality, it just sits in when you play as Peter. And I thought the game did a really good job in illustrating that Peter's life, it matters as well. It's very integral to what Spider-Man is, or who Spider-Man is as a person.
So there are a couple of bad things in this game, or at least things that bothered me about this game. One thing in particular was the combat. The combat's great, but then sometimes the camera, it doesn't work well. Like, at most times I'm fighting thugs on the street, and then the camera's not looking where I want it to, and then the trees get in the way. Basically, there's a lot of environmental obstacles. But other than that, it looks great. I can't see anything, but everything still looks great. And also the other thing I found a bit hard to get used to was that there's no day and night cycle, which is something I'm used to like from playing so many sandbox titles. There seems to be this sort of locked in time of day, and then when you progress the story, the time of day also changes, which, I don't know, it kind of bothered me. I like the whole day-night cycle because that was in Spider-Man 2 for the PS2. So in conclusion, I found myself comparing this game to two games in particular. That's Spider-Man 2 from on the PS2 from 2004. Sorry, I'll have to fact check that. And the Arkham series. Arkham series because you can see a lot of inspiration from the Arkham games in this. And how I'd compare it to the Arkham games is that it's basically Arkham but you're Spider-Man. That's not a bad thing. I love that because it really makes you feel like Spidey. And comparing it to Spider-Man 2, I'm comparing it because it honestly, it was for a long time the best superhero game out at the time. And it's probably the best Spider-Man game until this one. So yeah, in my opinion, if you're a big Spider-Man fan, definitely pick this up. It's a definite long-time improvement from the Spider-Man 2 on PS2. And I'll be honest, it made me feel like that small boy again playing Spider-Man 2 for the first time.
I really did enjoy this game. I did not finish it yet, but I am still playing through it. And it's got me by its claws, or by its legs. I can't say that. No, sorry, I tried to make a spider pun. That didn't work out. So, why don't you go ahead, play Spider-Man, go buy it. I know Toro Gaming still has bucket loads of copies because this game is amazing. So you should head on down there, ground floor, Garden City, pick up the game and play it because it's actually really amazing. And yeah, I guess that's what I thought. So what are you waiting for? Go and play Spider-Man. Flip, flip.